I will be with you again. I will teach you to ride your first bike, build your first sandbox, watch you play sports, and see you have kids also.
Words written by Staff Sergeant Kelli Hake to his 1-year-old son, Gage. But Hake would never be able to do any of those things with his son. Hake was killed in an EFP blast in Baghdad on March 23, 2008, leaving behind his wife, Kelli, and Gage. Casualty assistance officers brought that horrible news to Kelly's door.
The door the first time, I kind of knew that they were there, but I wasn't really thinking. I was still halfway asleep. So I shut the door and said no. And then they knocked again, and I was like, nope, not today. But that was tough. Once I opened the door the second time when it all really hit me.
Hake is one of more than 500 U.S. military members killed in Iraq and Afghanistan in deaths that have been directly linked to Iran. Now more than 200 injured veterans and Gold Star family members are suing Iran in a groundbreaking case. The New Jersey-based Osen law firm and Tab Turner, an Arkansas-based attorney, were in federal court in Washington, D.C. this week, arguing that Iran funded the building of the explosively formed penetrators and trained and supplied the terror cells who delivered the attacks. Osen did so by calling up a variety of veterans, a widow, and expert witnesses like EOD expert Wade Barker.
EFP is an explosively formed penetrator or projectile. It's a particular type of IED designed specifically to punch through armor. In EFP, the copper is formed into a slug that on detonation travels at about 26,000 feet per second. On impact, depending on the distance, somewhere around 10 to 15,000 feet per second is how the speed is traveling.
Army veteran Christopher Levi, a former specialist, still bears the evidence of the EFP's power and intense heat.
You see a hole here? Yeah. This is an exit wound, and this is the entrance room. And I had a hand mic, like a old Holmes hand phone receiver, and was communicating with the driver and the gunner and surveying the area and keeping contact with the other trucks. When the EFP came through, it came right across my lap and took my legs, but a piece of shrapnel heading for my throat, because I had my hand here, entered here, bounced off my ulnar, bounced off my radius, my ulnar, my wrist bones, took my second metacarpal, and just missed my face.
EOD expert Barker told the court Iran built those bombs. Copper-tipped DFPs are extremely difficult to build and manufacture, require expensive, complex machinery, computer engineering, and software. But let's take a step back to learn about how Iran and the terrorist proxies are connected. Dr. Matthew Levitt, expert witness, is the director of the Counterterrorism Intelligence Program at the Washington Institute for Near East Policy.
So Iran has the Revolutionary Guard Corps, and under that it has its Quds Force. And as part of the Quds Force, you have the Ramazan Corps. And the Ramazan Corps is working closely with and training and dispatching and smuggling and supporting the Badr organization and Jaish al-Mahdi and Kataib Hezbollah and Asaib al-Haq and a whole host of others.
Levitt said Iran had supporters on all aspects of the political spectrum in Iraq, so whatever the outcome, they would be able to influence the country. So the lawyers used experts like Levitt to prove Iran was using their political standing and tens of millions of dollars to support the killing and maiming of American service members.
And so the Lebanese Hezbollah was directly involved at the behest of the IRGC Quds Force to develop terrorist groups within Iraq to kill coalition forces.
To kill soldiers like Tricia English's husband Sean on December 3, 2006, the father of 3 boys.
He was a military or an Army deep sea diver, and then, but his deployment to Iraq he was an advisor on a military transition team.
To illustrate the destructive power of the Iranian-made EFPs, the Osen firm brought in a life-sized Humvee. It was the first time English ever saw one, the same kind of vehicle her husband was killed in overseas.
When they called and told me what date the trial was for this, they told me, this was back in July, and they told me what dates the trial would be held. And when I asked what date, they told me began on December 3rd. And so I didn't think I had much of a choice because today is the 12th anniversary of the day my husband was killed.
I see this as having a huge impact on our relationship with Iran, who supplied these devices. They were too chicken to fight us force on force, so they lied to our face and shot us in the back of the head.
Iran's actions, witnesses argued, left scores of veterans like David Haines to deal with a lifetime of injuries and complications.
He said he'd never seen anybody with so many holes in them and that I looked like Swiss cheese. There is going to be a great satisfaction in seeing some truth come out about some of the people that were actors in this war.
The federal judge is expected to issue an opinion about the trial in the coming months. If she finds Iran liable, then the process will begin to determine if the plaintiffs will be able to receive some money damages from the U.S. Victims of State-Sponsored Terrorism Fund. But for now, for Gold Star families like Kelli Hake, her husband lives on in her son Gage, who is the mirror image of his father.
Yes, so Chris was a class clown. I mean, anybody that you ask, he was doing something to make someone laugh at all times. So I've realized that with Gage, he does the same thing. Like, he wants to make everyone smile and everyone laugh all the time. He's just like his dad.